Hi everyone, to everyone who's in the chat at the moment. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we have Nokuhle Khumalo-Chamoto. I'm still getting used to adding the last name to the new last name because she's a newlywed. If you can't tell by the newlywed glow. But today we're going to be talking about everything YouTube. So if you don't know Nokuhle, Nokuhle is a chartered accountant, a financial educator, content creator, speaker, author, most recently of Boss Your Money, which teaches us the wealth creation formula, and has over 140,000 YouTube subscribers, which is why we have her here today to teach us how to use YouTube to grow our businesses, build a community, and make a few bucks as a side hustle, which is very necessary in this economy. So I hope that we can have just a fun, interactive discussion. And if any of you have any questions or comments, please feel free to switch on your camera, raise your hand, unmute your mic, and just share any thoughts you have in the public chat. But yeah, this space is really just meant for inspiring and empowering entrepreneurs. This is really your space. So if there's anything that you want to say, just feel free to jump in whenever. But Nokuhle, let's start by talking about your own YouTube journey. Let's talk about that. How did that get started?
Well, thank you for having me again, Nasi. And I'm hoping the people who are watching, even if they've caught the initial recipe, I hope they don't mind a bit of revision. But YouTube was just meant to be a visual diary for me. When I started it out, I had no intention of monetizing it. I didn't even know that that was a possibility. I was just trying to capture my story for my future kids and my family and my friends, just so they could keep in touch with me. And then it started off obviously very personal, but then I started touching on topics that a lot of people resonated with, and that was finance, it was money. I had a lot of questions and not enough answers, so as soon as I found out the answers, I was like, okay, let me go and make a video to answer people. And I was answering my community, so it started off with how to buy a car. Everyone wanted to know. We had all just graduated. People are buying cars, but no one really knew how to do it. I did a video on that, but instead of just having the normal 100 people watching, we ended up having thousands and thousands. And then that's just how my YouTube channel grew, essentially. It was how to buy a car, how to invest, how to file your taxes. So the things that everyone goes through and everyone struggles through, I just documented it and people liked it, and that's how we got to 140,000 people.
What a journey. What a journey. But I love also that you said that you started off just because you didn't have information available out there to you, and so you decided to become that information, which is something that I love about YouTube as well, is that it takes written content and makes it something interactive. I know we live in a little scroll society, so we love to be on our phones and on our laptops, and it's a very specific occasion to go out there and read a book. So I think that's one of the beauties of YouTube. But you've also spoken about, some of the misconceptions of YouTube in your recipe. So would you mind jumping into maybe what some of those might be when people think YouTube?
I think when people think of YouTube, firstly, they assume lots and lots of money. It's money, but it's not like you're not going to retire and buy a yacht and a beautiful sea view house just off of YouTube. I mean, you could, and I'm hoping South Africa gets there, but currently I think we are still in the very early phases. It's not like when you watch American YouTubers and UK YouTubers where all they do is YouTube and they live really extravagantly. So South Africa is still a very young market, which is why it's a great time to jump in if this is something that interests you, because it's still so early. You could still be part of the people who grow it. The reason I'm saying this is because South Africa is still very obsessed with traditional media. So a lot of advertising still happens on TV and radio and billboards, which is great. However, there is a slight shift where brands are realizing that, hey, this is the scroll culture. Everyone is on their phones. So to reach us, they need to be on socials. So that's actually where people make majority of the money. YouTube, the platform, does pay, which is great. But majority of your money as a creator will actually come from external work where brands want some space in your video or they want you to speak about their product. So that's how you make majority of the money. Another misconception maybe that I'd cover on YouTube is that the hardest thing to get are subscribers. So I don't believe in asking people to subscribe. Like, I'll remind you, if you enjoy this, don't forget to subscribe. But I think people actually do get a bit turned off if you're constantly asking, please subscribe, guys, please subscribe, because you're giving off desperation. When you're creating your content, just create content that people find useful. They will subscribe naturally. You don't need to ask them. And I'll be honest, even now, like, only 30% of the people who watch my channel actually subscribe. The other 70% will just come watch the video and leave, and I don't mind it, because the number of subscribers actually doesn't dictate how much money you make. So just because I've got 140,000 subscribers, it doesn't mean I'm making more money than I did when I had 70,000 subscribers. So don't get caught up in the vanity metrics of, oh, I've got 100,000 subscribers, or I've got this many subscribers. As long as you have your 1,000 that you need to get monetized, subscribers don't really matter after that. Yes, when they climb, it's exciting because you get it, like, you tell people, oh, I've got over 50,000, but it really doesn't mean much. The big thing is views. Do people watch your content, and for how long do they watch your content?
Insights. I know a lot of people, I am guilty of being one of those people who used to be like, well, if the Ace family can do it, I can clearly, when I'm doing my skincare routine, say, hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and I'll be a millionaire in no time. But that's not how it works. I mean, it's a tough industry to be in as well, because we also live in the cancel culture era. So we're always scared of making the wrong move, which can be tough. And I know that you're in finance, so there's not as much that can come out.
Oh, but there is. Actually, I think that's maybe a risk that people who do want to be on YouTube need to think about. The fact that you're in public view, your like public perception is such a major role of what you do, because you could still be doing the stuff you were doing back then, but if there's adverse or negative information about you, people are not wanting to engage with you. I know even with musicians and artists, people always say, okay guys, let's separate the art from the artist. But I know personally, if I've heard weird things about a certain artist, as much as I love their music, I do reduce the amount of time I'm listening to them, because I'm not trying to fund people who are against me or against people, so when you do become a YouTuber, especially if it's a lifestyle type of channel, public perception is a very big deal of it, which obviously sucks. There's a lot of pressure, but if you're someone who doesn't like being viewed or perceived, or if you do have things that you want to keep in the closet, I'm not saying people need to know 100% of you. I actually feel like I've somewhat clocked this. I talk a lot, I yap a lot, I'm very chatty, so people think they know a lot about me, but there are actually certain things that I never talk about, but people don't really notice because I talk so much. They don't realize that there are certain things that I actually don't speak of enough, but that's just because I'm allowed to keep certain things to myself. Like, certain things are reserved for me. So even with you as a creator, ask yourself, what are your hard boundaries? What are you not willing to discuss? But also, what's up for grabs? Because if you're just going to come on and tell people like fact after fact, yes, people love to learn, but people also love personality. You can watch my videos being made by 3 other creators. It might even be like similar content, bar for bar, especially now with AI, because AI will actually take other people's videos and give you the same insights. So you might watch someone who says something very similar to me, but the way that they deliver it might not be the same. The personality, the little I know people usually describe me as quirky, and I'm like, I don't know that's how people view me, but okay. But don't worry. And I'm saying this because I know sometimes people will say, oh, the makeup industry is saturated, there's no point in opening a makeup channel. But maybe there is a point. Maybe you are going to bring a different element. So don't let the existence of other people scare you. But you're definitely going to be in public. You can't be, not that you can't be boring. I think there is a space for boring people. But if boring is your angle, make sure that you are always boring, if that makes sense.
What you're saying. But it's very interesting because, all we say all over the place all the time is authenticity, authenticity. We want authenticity so badly. But there's also just such a fine line between filtering yourself and being authentic and showing the personality that everyone wants, which I'm sure is so hard. But when entrepreneurs are then deciding, like, what kind of content do I want to put out there? What do you think is something that they should know does best? Like, what are some of the things that really work on YouTube?
I think for YouTube, if monetizing and making money off of it is the end goal. Obviously, if you just want to store your videos and your memories, none of this matters. You can even hop off of this call, which I hope you don't. But none of this matters because it's just for your own personal storage. But if you actually want to monetize it, as if you want to monetize your life, so if you're a lifestyle creator, you need to entertain people. You need to keep people glued to the screen. They need to see your day. They need to like what you're doing. So you might be forced to sometimes recreate yourself, just because I know people have been complaining there's only so many vlogs we can watch of someone making like toast, or so many vlogs we can watch you doing groceries. So you do need to change it up. But as an entrepreneur, assuming that you're not opening a YouTube channel just for, vlogging, assuming you're doing it for your business. Maybe you are vlogging, but it's vlogging the business process, how you make a t-shirt, how you lay people's hair, whatever the case is. You then have a different type of strategy. You don't have to recreate yourself all the time. The only thing is you need to bring a story. People buy stories, people buy people. So the same way, there are so many people who sell t-shirts, so many people who can do your hair, so many people who can print your business cards. If you come with a certain story that people can relate to or find funny or amusing, they will be drawn to you. So whenever you're doing your video, try and incorporate those things. So if maybe you're doing a voiceover, tell us about a random thing that's happened. Tell us about what's happening in your neighborhood. Oh, okay, one of your neighbors, there was something happening, but you're busy installing someone's hair. People stay for that because people love ndabas. We love gossip. We love stories, but we're also learning within the process as you're doing whatever you're doing. I also do want to say that if it is going to be a brand specific YouTube, doesn't mean it has to be serious. It doesn't mean you can't bring in your own elements. However, you must always remember what's your end goal. If your end goal is to get people to come to your place or to buy your products or to come use your services, make sure you're bringing that up, because sometimes we will watch a video and it's really nice and entertaining, but then we move on. Now, once it's done, we scroll and we move on. And yes, you've entertained us. Yes, you've got 100,000 views, but you're not actually getting the real value or the real money that you're trying to get out of that. So make sure you're always bringing your product up front. Don't advertise to people. People hate saying, okay guys, make sure that you buy this phone, it is available, and make sure you also get our remote. No, you could say, oh, look at this remote. I can literally control this whilst I'm looking orange now. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I do have this in my storefront. But as I was saying, the neighbor did this. I've integrated this easily. Now you're wondering, what is she looking at? What remote is that? Now I want to see it, but without me having to sell it to you. So just integrate your voice and your brand easily in your vlogs, and you should be fine as a business
Personally,
owner.
I'm sitting here now thinking about where you got that remote. So I think the point landed so well. Please send me a text later and explain what animation. Mo is also in the chat saying we want this remote. So clearly you're very good at your job. I would take that back. Okay, but you touched a little bit about the important tools to keep people staying in your videos. I think maybe we can touch on that a little bit later, but I want to keep that in the back of our mind while we talk about the thing that people love to ask. How does one get monetized on YouTube? What do you have to do to start making bucks?
YouTube has some requirements. I think you can, like, whenever you're on YouTube, you can actually search what their requirements are, because they do update them slightly every time they bring in new things. For example, when I first got monetized, there was no YouTube Shorts, but nowadays we do have YouTube Shorts, which is like the YouTube version of TikTok, where they now obviously account for that. So another thing, before I go into the requirement, you'll see that YouTube has long creators and short creators. I'm a long creator. I cannot summarize the same way Nasi's asking me one question and I'll give you guys 500 things in response. So I clearly love to talk. I have a lot to say. But there are people who are really good with going straight to the point, and it's very, like, it's, I almost say clickbaity, but it's not clickbaity, but it's like they are able to summarize everything and get the point across and move on. And obviously that's golden. If I could do that, I'm actually trying to learn how to, because that's TikTok and that's how people, grow on TikTok. I am struggling with TikTok, but I will get there, guys. But the point is, because YouTube allows you to be a long creator or a short creator or both, you might then have different requirements depending on what you're pushing for. But the standard one is you need 1,000 subscribers. So that's why I was saying subscribers don't really matter as long as you have your 1,000. And then you also need to have 4,000 watch hours in a year. So in a 365 period. And I'll be honest, the watch hours are actually the thing that takes the longest, especially if you're not popular, especially if you're not like famous or a celebrity. The reason I'm saying this is because subscribers, people are quick to subscribe. It's free. They don't mind subscribing. It might be slow at first. So if you're stuck in the 200 zone, don't worry. I completely get it. It took me 3 years to get to 1,000 subscribers. And then a year after, I had 50,000 subscribers. So it did grow exponentially. But the watch hours is the problem, because people can subscribe, your friends can subscribe as a way of supporting you. Nasi started a channel, we're gonna subscribe. But when your video comes up, they don't exactly watch. They don't exactly come and click and watch for long enough, because Nasi's talking about her hair routine. I'm not really interested in her hair, so I'm gonna skip. The moment your friends are skipping that video, that's an indication to YouTube that, hey, people aren't really interested in this video, so let's suggest it less. Which is why I also say, don't ask people to subscribe, because them subscribing, they increase the count, but they're not interested in your videos. So then YouTube is like, something might be off with this video. Let's limit how much we publicize it rather. With the watch hours, when Nasi watches my 8-minute video for 30 seconds, I only get 30 seconds. But if Nasi watches the whole 8-minute video and multiple other people also watch the whole 8-minute video, that adds up. And we need to have 4,000 hours. That is a very, very long time. That is a long, long time for people to be watching. I'll give you like some of my analytics. On average, I try to keep my videos between 10 and 15 minutes, but my average view duration across my entire channel is about 4 minutes, 30 seconds. So not everyone watches the whole video, and that's okay. I can't force people, hey, make sure you're still staying on, but I can't shorten it as well, because I don't want to miss important information, especially because it is finances. So if people just hop off, yes, it sucks. You didn't get the full thing, but thank you for watching. So if that helps you guys, if you're scared of creating long videos, just know people only watch 4 minutes anyways. So not saying post random things at the 8-minute mark, but 4 minutes is what people generally get to. So once you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, you do get a notification from YouTube to say, hey, you've successfully reached the monetization threshold. Please will you send us your address? And then they send you a letter, and that letter they send it to you because they want to prove your address. So once you get your letter, there's a pin, and then you enter that pin on your online profile. The reason I think Google does this is just that they have like a legal address for everyone, just in case they ever have to sue you or come after you. Maybe you post some really bad content and they're trying to arrest you, at least they need to know where you live. So yeah, but because we're in South Africa and the letter comes all the way from the US, it does take a long time. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks. The second time I got monetized, it was quite easy. It came wild. But the first time during COVID, my letter disappeared. Like, it never arrived. I requested a second one and a third one. And then I had to do an alternative type of approval. But it was also because it was COVID. So nowadays, you guys should be fine. The letter does arrive. and it's very exciting.
A very great insight. And someone in the chat said we do get so distracted, which is such a good point because I don't feel like we do finish these long videos. I know for myself, whenever I'm researching how to garden or how to do all these things, I fast forward to the most replayed part and then I watch from there. So, are there any insights then for people who are trying to get people to stay longer or to stay for the juicy part of the video? What are some tools that creators can use to keep people watching longer?
I don't watch YouTube as much as I should, and I'm gonna say this as a disclaimer because I always say it's weird that I don't watch YouTube, but it's also just because I feel like I'm working when I'm on that site. However, what I've seen that people enjoy when they're on YouTube is the moment they get in, you kind of give them the juice. So it's like a coming up, you say. And then, guys, I saved R1,000,000 in 6 months. I couldn't believe it, but I did it. And then you start the, hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm gonna, obviously now people are like, oh my goodness, now I need to hear how she saved R1,000,000 in 6 months. How did she do it? Just obviously don't do clickbaity things because I hate clickbaity things. Because if you're gonna tell me you're saving R1,000,000 in 6 months, but you're also earning R1,000,000 every month, don't annoy me. We are not in the same boat. Of course you can save R1,000,000 if you're earning R1,000,000 every month. So don't be clickbaity. But that preview does help, especially with the vlog. Showing people what's coming up makes them excited and willing to stay for longer. Another thing is your editing. When people see random things popping up on the screen, I love to talk with my hands, so I do that, but I know people love editing. So if this was a recorded video, I would have had some stuff floating in the air. I know sometimes if you have like a bookshelf and you put like a secret little message to say, if you see this comment, blue dot, and then people, it's because people get distracted, so they don't want to just look at you. They want other things to see. For example, we're also getting distracted because we're reading the comments that are coming in, and it's like, oh, okay, there's actually something going on, so this is exciting. So do those little things to keep your viewer engaged. But I also do want to say, you don't need to make the videos long. Think the way a viewer thinks. Also, write your titles the way a viewer would write them. You could be doing a tutorial on how to, for example, how to register a company, but you might write CIPC terms and conditions and how to, that's too complicated. Someone who's trying to register a company is not going to type all of those things. They will probably type, how do I register a company in South Africa? So make that your title so that it matches 100% to whatever they're writing. But also even your thumbnail should be very attractive. Like it should be a well made thumbnail. YouTube does have that thing where it does an auto thumbnail, so based off of your video it selects just a random section in your video and uses it as a thumbnail. Do not just pick a default thumbnail because it looks like you gave zero effort. And as someone who's about to watch a video, I'm going to go to the video that seems to have a lot more effort made because clearly this person knows what they're talking about. You who just did a random video, there's no thumbnail. It's like, this person doesn't even care to put in a thumbnail, so why would they care to give me the right information? Another thing though is that time, duration, so don't speak for the sake of speaking. People do always pick the shortest type of video, but not too short. If it's 30 seconds, I know there's no way you're going to help me register a company in 30 seconds, let's be honest. But if there is a 35-minute video versus a 4-minute video on how to register on CIPC, of course I'm going to pick the 4-minute video because I'm trying to get this business going. I'm not trying to sit in a whole lecture where you're going to tell me, hi guys, so my name is, and welcome to my channel, and what I do is, nobody cares about you. It sucks, but nobody cares. I've actually even implemented some of this myself. For example, I used to have a trailer at the beginning of all my videos of, my name is Nokuhle, and I make videos on 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't do that anymore. I realized people don't stay on the channel. They don't scroll and watch everything. When they're looking for something, they will find me. But it's not a thing of, let me binge watch Nokuhle's channel. If you are a vlogger though, maybe they do binge watch because they want to get to know you as a person. But if you're creating value, no one wants to watch every single video you've made because they're not trying to recreate your entire story 100%. And then I'm seeing a comment in the chat. Does your average watch time vary according to viewer age group? So I don't know. I'm not too sure. When you look at the YouTube studio, like it'll show you the different age groups. It'll also show you the split between male and female and unspecified. So you can see that. However, for the average duration, you can't dive in or zoom in to see, okay, of this average duration, how many people are of this age. Maybe there are tools that you can plug in to get that type of stuff, but just from the free YouTube analytics, I can't see that. But I will tell you that my general age group is about 25 to 35, and that's also how I know that I need to keep my content around that demographic. It's funny though, because when I was younger, obviously my demographic was younger. So the nice thing is that I think my channel is growing with me. So the more I move into a new age group, it moves with me, which is why I'm actually in the search of a younger finance person, because I feel like younger people are not watching me. I'm even looking at myself and I'm wearing this curly wig, and I know if I was in varsity, I would have been like, Manjelo, now why is this lady like looking so old? I would not watch a video made by me. So I need to try find someone with the same type of drive, but who will actually like talk to the 2Ks. Like, people also want to watch content from people who are very similar to them. I know moms love to watch content from other moms because they want to see, is this normal? Am I doing this correctly? I'll also even give you something else. Men also generally like to hear from other men. So my split though on YouTube is quite half, like it's quite like well balanced, but I know on Instagram and TikTok that is very female focused, so a lot of women are more attracted to my content there than men. So that's just, it is what it is.
That's very interesting. That's a very interesting. And I think that leans into the next thing that we wanted to talk about. I mean, I know older demographics, I think we generally assume that they watch more of the video because they have more of an attention span. But in terms of seeing, we can assume generally, but in terms of seeing consistent videos from specific channels, I know you spoke a little bit during our interview about how you don't necessarily lean on consistency, but how important is it overall for YouTubers and entrepreneurs trying to leverage YouTube to stay consistent in order to be relevant?
So consistency in general is key. That's what the quote says. So when you can, you should post. But YouTube isn't like your TikToks where it's like post every day, or you need to at least have 3 posts a week to remain relevant. YouTube is slightly more forgiving. It's also because the content is usually longer form, so it takes longer to create and manufacture. So I do think people still need to be consistent, but they don't need to try pump videos every single week. Like, oh my goodness, if I've missed a week, it's the end of everything. No, you can relax. As long as you're going to post maybe week 2, week 3, I would say minimum is posting once a month. You can't let a month pass. And I know I had to take a break for about 3 months when I was doing my, when I was working in the US, just because there was a slight conflict. And during that time, my channel, people were still watching my old content. So as much as you're not posting, people are still viewing, you're still earning, because obviously your content is still there. People are still, paying for your ads or whatever. So that's also the beauty of YouTube. It's not a very time sensitive thing, especially if your content is evergreen. So if you're teaching people something that they always want to be taught, they will always come and watch your video. However, I will say though that it is good practice to make an updated version, maybe at least every second year. So for example, with tax, I still have my tax videos that I made 2 years ago still running. However, this year I am hoping to make more tax videos, just because we've had a couple of changes. There's been changes in thresholds, there's been changes in brackets, so it would be worthwhile to make a new video. But last year I didn't make any new video, and I still earned a lot of money off of that, because tax season came, everyone's searching, how do I submit my taxes, and Nokuhle pops up. And with older videos, people actually also trust legacy things. So if people see that, oh, this video has 50,000 views, clearly it's a good one. So then they watch that one again. Compared to a video that's got 200 views, it's like, Do I really want to be this person's guinea pig? Not really. But 50K views? No. People have watched this and they've enjoyed it and they've left comments. Clearly, I can trust it. And then, but in general, try to be consistent, but don't be annoyed with yourself if you're not. And this also even speaks to having a content plan. You can have a general structure. I also have one up here just in case I'm ever like confused and not sure what to create. I know, oh, these are hot topics for this type of month or this time in the year. However, if something happens currently and it's a financial thing, I'm also happy to jump on it and speak on that and forego my content plan. So don't make it like a crutch, a thing of if it's not that, it's not going to be perfect. You're allowed to change it as you go. But also, I actually also generally don't comment on things that are still live because I wait for them to pan out because I want to see the full thing. Because I always say I'm not a journalist, I'm not a news reporter. I'm a financial educator, so I need to get the full lesson before I can speak on it. So you might also have to ask yourself, is this worth discussing now? Because it's trending, people are searching, they're going to come to my video. But do you want to run the risk of spreading misinformation when the full story unravels at a later stage?
I think that's really good insight as well. And I think that answers Mo and Fred's question about consistency and how often you post your videos. But I see we also have another question from Adi, going back to the age question, asking about if you're targeting younger kids, should your content be very different from if you're targeting adults?
I wouldn't say very different. However, the examples or how you elaborate will be different. So if we're talking about saving, saving as a principle is the same. It's money you have that you're choosing not to use and you're putting it away for something at a later stage. However, if you're talking to people in their 40s and 50s, you're probably gearing it to retirement, saving for their dream house or whatever. But if you were to say that to someone who is 20 and you're telling them, hey, maybe skip the club and let's save for retirement, it's not going to hit the same. It's a thing of, I'll worry about that when I get there. So you frame it differently. You can say, oh, okay, you can actually save, and the money you save, you could actually go on vacation, girls trip or boys trip in December. And that's more exciting because like, oh my gosh, actually, they're so right. If I don't spend this money now, I could have a really great time at a later stage. So I think the examples you use will help whatever demographic you're targeting. But as a general thing, I think you can still do a video that catches everyone. You would then just probably have to bring in both examples just to make sure that everyone is understanding what you're saying. But actually, another thing that I was looking at, because I was researching the top channels in the US and the UK, and I was comparing them to South Africa. I realized the US and UK have a lot of cartoon content, like a lot of children's toddler content as their top 10, and in South Africa we do not have any. Our top 10 is Tyler, okay, shout out to Tyler, and then it's like National Geographic, SABC, like it's very serious content, and then in the US it's Mr. Beast, but then it's Baby Shark and Miss Rachel and all of those things. So I did find that was a bit it surprised me, but it also made me realize that hey, there's actually a gap here. It means that South African kids don't yet have a dedicated cartoon channel, and that would be a great spot to plug in. I think there was Cartoon Network or Boomerang or something, but even then it wasn't really high up. So that's an opportunity that could be waiting. I hope you guys are not going to take my idea because I might be working on something.
Honestly, Tabang 2.0 is coming back to YouTube. So let's see what happens with everyone in the chat. I hope you're all listening. This could be another opportunity for Sesame Street, or what do we call it here in South Africa? Takalani Sesame. You never know.
It took me so long to realize that Takalani Sesame is Sesame Street, and I was like, because their names are like Neno and Moshe, so I thought, okay, this is a South African show until
I was like, who is Elmo, and why does Elmo have such a weird accent?
it was weird. So maybe we need a South African Miss Rachel, but the thing is, a lot of people when people think of converting things to South African, I think they also usually want to do it in a South African language, and usually like a African language. So they'll say Miss Rachel in Zulu, Miss Rachel in Xhosa, Miss Rachel in Tsonga, which is fine. It's great because obviously kids need to learn. But the problem is that South Africa is so diverse and we have so many languages. So you're never going to be the top creator because there's only so many Zulu children and only so many Tsonga children, whereas in the US everything's in English type of thing. So yeah, that would be interesting to see if an English but South African accent version cartoon would boom, or if people still want the ethnic language like an African language. And even when we speak about South Africa, I actually also like to include Africa as a whole, because I think we do operate quite collectively. Even some of the shows made in South Africa are watched in other parts of Africa. So even with cartoons, I would apply the same type of concept. So that would be interesting.
That would be interesting, especially now that we all have like global trends that we can follow. I'm interested to see how people adapt that to a South African context. But we have another question here from Mo, who is asking about the importance of equipment and quality of videos and lighting and audio. I know some people will be like, no, just wait, I need to save R1,000,000 so I can buy the most expensive equipment, the best lighting, da, 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 da. But what do you have to say to that?
I say you're lying to yourself. You're just trying to delay doing the thing. My way of living is I don't like spending money I haven't made. So when it came to content, I was using the phone I had, and I was shooting using natural lighting. So at the time, I think when I started my channel, I had an iPhone 8 Plus. And I will 100% say that was the best camera I have ever had in my entire life, because any iPhone after that doesn't match up. I've got a massive Canon camera, still doesn't match up. I've got a DJI Pocket Pro, what nothing will beat my iPhone 8 Plus. So I miss that phone. I actually even want to buy it. I know I won't get it for like a brand new one because it's so old, but I want to buy an old version because that was a beautiful camera. The point is, start with whatever you have, and if it's a phone or whatever, make sure you're wiping it. People will downplay the impact of wiping your camera, okay? Because if you don't wipe it, it looks blurry and foggy like you're in a dream. Also, natural lighting is your best friend. Yes, we've got these cute lights now and all of that, but that's just because I now need to shoot at random times. Like I can't wait until the sun is up and it's at optimal level for me to shoot. I need to be able to shoot at 3 a.m., which is when I'm most productive, but also shoot at 9 p.m. So the light is why I need to have it. But as someone who's starting out, shoot during the day, wipe your camera, and then use whatever's built in on your phone to edit. So with iPhones, there's always iMovie, but if you have an Android, we have apps like CapCut, there's InShot, there's even Instagram edits. I know YouTube is also working on allowing people to edit on the actual platform. I don't really like it, I'll be very honest. It's not very user friendly, but there are so many platforms that you can use. My point is, you do not need to spend any money to start, and you shouldn't be spending money, because I feel like the moment you spend money, you put a lot of pressure on yourself to make that money back. So start with whatever you have, and when your thing does grow, then you can start reinvesting the money back. The laptop I use to edit nowadays, that was bought off of content money. The camera I had, the first camera, actually all my cameras, that was all on money made from content. So I'm a big believer of reinvesting, but I will not just throw away capital and then hope for the best. I just feel like it's too much pressure.
Yeah, I think the pressure thing is the most important thing. I think we all say, as soon as we get this thing, then I'm going to be the best version of myself. And then that thing comes and it's like, oh my gosh, now the pressure's on. I have to be the best and I have to do it right now. So I understand that. And the funniest thing you said to me in your recipe was when you said, please wipe your phone so it doesn't look like you're in a dream. And I've seen so much content of people just look like they're in a haze, and I'm thinking, they just didn't wipe their camera, and it's really great quality these days.
No, it's so important. Even if I've taken a picture just now, When you're taking another one, wipe it again. I feel like that little split second, your phone could have got in your pocket, and then it could have just gotten messed up. Just wipe it again. I'm laughing. Fred's comment is saying, so you're saying I just wasted 40K on that new drone. Hey, I mean, if you want to resell, call me. But even with such advanced gear like drones and stuff, that's when you've proved the concept. Okay, so if you're documenting your entrepreneurial journey for your own purposes, for your own future documentary, because maybe one day they'll make one for you, that's fine. Okay, you're not looking to make the money back immediately. But if you're someone who's going into it because you want to make this an income stream now in 2026, you should not be wasting 40,000 or anything, because, and I say wasting on purpose, because yes, you might make money, but you might not make 40,000, especially as a beginner. There are things that you learn on the go, and you can get creative. I remember I actually didn't even have a tripod when I started out. I used to prop my phone up against a lot of my accounting standards, like the textbooks, just so it was at the best level, and then I would shoot a video. So be creative. It actually makes the journey so much more interesting, because you didn't start with everything, but you made it work. And then by the time you get given these tools, it's like it's so much easier. For example, if you could think of a doctor, you see, I always respect doctors who can work in really under-resourced environments, or like hospitals where they have to make do with whatever they have and still perform these high-end surgeries. Because I'm always like, imagine if that doctor was then thrown into a place with the most expensive equipment and all of this. They could probably pull off these surgeries 10 times faster, and see a lot more people. Like, it would add on to the skills that they already have. However, if you swap it around and you take someone who's used to having all of these high-end technologically advanced things, you put them in a village setup, they would struggle, because suddenly they need to take the BP manually, where you're pumping, and it's not a thing where you just put it on someone's arm and it automatically tells you what the BP is. To listen to someone's heartbeat, now suddenly they have to hold onto your wrist, look at their watch and count. Both of those people are technically doctors, but the fact that this one, the advanced one, doesn't know how to do this makes you less trusting of them. And I think that's actually why in South Africa, when you're a doctor, everybody starts out like in a public hospital. You can't go straight into a private practice with all those cute bells and whistles. Everyone starts in public, in those under-resourced hospitals, because you need to know the basics. So even with content creation, I know people might think it's easy, it's just picking up a phone and taking a video and posting. If you think it's that easy, I dare you to try. You might win, and if you do win, shout out, but you probably will see that it's actually not as easy as people make it out to be. But also conversely, when you overwork, when you over-edit your videos, when you put too much pressure on your video, it actually doesn't perform. I don't know what the theory is, or what the science is on TikTok. If you take a video on the TikTok thing and you just do a random, guys, someone just, and then you post it, you will get 10,000 views. But the moment you go and you edit it on your fancy software and you put green screens and you put elements, 200 views.
Yeah, sometimes it's about creating value, not production value. Fred says authenticity for the win. Yes, exactly. No, I 100% agree, because I always get so annoyed on TikTok when I've like edited this whole thing for a full hour and I've done a voiceover and I go 200 views. But when I'm not thinking about it and I'm like, okay, here's a little walk I took, 20,000 views. Here's a little camping trip I went on, 40,000 views.
And that's definitely TikTok. And even with people who are starting out, guys, like, don't just say YouTube's the only one that pays, so that's the only place I'm focusing on. No, be present on all socials, because you don't know where your people are coming from. So with TikTok and Instagram, that could be like a preview, and if people want to watch the full video, then they come to YouTube. Because I know some people still only watch the previews and think they've gotten the whole value. And it's like, oh, if only you went to YouTube, you would be so much more impressed, because that's where I truly rock. But the point is, you need to post on every social platform, because you don't know, you might try push to be a YouTuber, but you're actually truly a TikToker. But when it comes to TikTok and stuff, as much as that's not monetized on the platform, brands still pay for it. And I'm saying this because maybe someone does want a very brand specific type of content creation journey. So it's not like them posting about their business or what they do, it's them trying to advertise for other brands. TikTok and Instagram are currently the highly requested items, which bores me a lot because I'm not a TikTok and Instagrammer, as I told you guys. However, because I do have those channels, I do post, but that's what brands want, because they assume people are in the process of scrolling and not sitting down and engaging with the content for a long time.
Yeah, maybe the next recipe we'll do TikTok and Instagram. We'll give you a year to work on it. We'll see you in 12 months. But there's also some really interesting insights you gave us during your interview, where you spoke about how you've been able to build the channel and then use that community to leverage your business and grow your business. Can you talk more about how entrepreneurs can use YouTube to grow their community, and then use that in their business for sales and things like that?
So I feel like, firstly, that I did YouTube the wrong way around. So I went on YouTube. I had nothing to sell to people, but maybe that's also why it worked so well, because I wasn't focused on selling. And I'm saying this so that people don't try to sell all the time, because like I said earlier, it turns people off. People are not trying to watch a 10-minute ad. You're just there to talk. You're just there. And people miss community, guys. I think that's what I'm pushing towards right now. People really miss the element of connecting with other people, especially physically, having these chats. And with social media, we're also connected, but we're also very disconnected. We see each other all the time. I see your posts all the time. You see mine all the time. But I don't actually really know how you're doing. I don't know if you're okay. I don't know how your family is doing, because again, social media is very curated. I only show you what I want you to see, but there's a lot that's happening that you might not know of. So people really want closure. They want community, which is why TikTok lives and Instagram lives are so popular, because someone just props up their phone and they're just doing whatever they're doing, and people are leaving comments. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just cooking. Oh, what are you cooking? I'm cooking chicken. Oh, I'm cooking chicken too. People want that friendly type of interaction. So even with your business, you could also just be doing whatever you're doing and answering questions on the go. But in terms of my business, so I'm an author. I am also a YouTuber, but I've also launched professional services now. So where I'm helping people with their taxes, helping people like understand finances, and considering if I want to go the financial advisory route or not. But I also am doing business consulting. So if people are trying to assess if their business is appropriately registered and compliant, I'm your girl. If you want to understand how to grow your business, something doesn't seem right, I'm your girl. If you've got contracts that you're not really sure, does this make sense? I'm your girl. I'm here to chat. So because of my content, and because I've been talking about all of these things, I've been able to understand what people really want based off of their comments. I didn't know that people felt the need that they wanted to talk to someone who could help them understand certain things, because when we study at university, no one really tells you about that element. You just study what's in your textbook and you go and you apply it. But based off of the comments, people had a lot of questions coming in. How do I do this? How do I do this? You make a tutorial, but some people still just don't know how to do it themselves. So I was like, hey, actually, this is a gap. Some people still don't trust themselves to do it, and they want someone to help them and kind of like sit on their shoulder and say, okay, now do this, now click here, now move this and do this, understand this. So that's something that I've identified. And because of my YouTube, I was also able to then ask people, hey, please book a chat with me for 30 minutes. I'd like to ask a few questions. So that's also a really great research pool, because you're asking people who are already interested in your product, what they want to see or what they don't enjoy. So I would probably ask questions like, what do you like the most? Or what do you like the least? And some people sometimes don't want to say, "Ugh, I don't like this," or "I hate this." And that's normal. Okay, as people, we understand social cues. You're not really going to tell someone, "Oh, I really don't like your eyebrows. Like, they look disgusting." But if I'm opening the conversation, I'm like, "No, please, will you tell me? I really want to hear to make sure that I'm giving you the best product." People will tell you, "Oh, I hate the fact that the app glitches here," or "I find that this is so frustrating. Every time I have to look at my budget, I have to try figure out, where did I save it?" So I understand people's pain points. So with you and your business, you can also ask people. If you're making a moisturizer, ask people, how's it treating you? They might say, "Oh, it's so nice." And then eventually say, "I do feel a bit dry like after 6 hours though. So I don't know if maybe I'm like exposed to a lot of things." And then that's something you can take back to your lab to say, "Hey guys, something might not be going well with that product. People are feeling like they're drying out." And if it's one person saying it, "Oh, okay, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." However, if that's coming up in, let's say, you're having 50 conversations and it's coming up 20 times, that's definitely something to investigate, because how many more other people have gone through that and just dish your product because they went through that issue. So if you learn to fix things based off of the constructive criticism, you're going to be really great. But also, people love engaging with product owners or business owners. It adds that element of, I'm also supporting Nokuhle. But what I actually found out the other day is that some people said, when you're doing a type of service, don't actually show people your success too much. I'm still researching and having a look at how relevant this is. I also think it does depend on the type of services you do. For example, someone said when their nail tech or their hair technicians drive fancier cars than them or live in fancier homes, that annoys them, because people have this preconceived idea that nail techs, they should only make around this amount of money. So if you're suddenly driving a Range Rover, that upsets them because, she's taking our money to buy a Range Rover. So you also need to understand your market. On the other hand, though, as a finance person, people usually say they don't take advice or recommendations from people who aren't rich. So if I'm showing up here and I'm looking scruffy and I'm struggling to pay my bills, no one's going to take anything I say seriously, because you can't even handle your own house. How are you going to help us with us? But also, don't show too much. I can't come up with Gucci and LV and everything, because now it's like, this person is eating our money. How do we know it's safe? So you also need to understand the public perception that you're showing. But yeah, I think there's a question there from Tough.
So he wants to know, do you use YouTube Studio for your music? What other resources do you use to access to stay on the right side of copyright restrictions?
So YouTube Studio is your best bet. That's where, so on the YouTube Studio, so by the way, if you're a YouTuber, actually anyone can get it, but as a YouTuber, having just the YouTube app isn't sufficient. You also need the Studio app, and the Studio app will show you how far you are to being monetized, your analytics. It'll break down everything, but then it'll also give you the YouTube Studio music, like the free copyright music. That's your best bet. The music is boring. It is very bland. It is boring. However, just listen to some of it. So some of them are quite nice, and I've saved a couple where I'm like, okay, these are like my brand type of music. If you really want recent hype music, maybe you're doing a vlog, so obviously these YouTube Studio music is not really appropriate. So you want like a bit of Drake in the background and a bit of Rihanna. There are creators on YouTube who make non-copyright music, so you can search. However, what I do want to say is I don't really like this too much, because obviously now you're also taking another artist, another creator's revenue, and you're using it for your own thing without truly crediting them. Also, when you do take music like that that's been dubbed as non-copyright by these other creators, you run the risk of your video 3 months down the line being actually like striked, and YouTube says, hey, actually we've identified that this includes Drake's music or Rihanna's music or Beyonce. And when that happens, they say it's okay, your video can continue, but your revenue will go to the artist. So if you are trying to give people something enjoyable to watch, that's fine. You can use whatever music you want. Copyright, no copyright, doesn't matter. But if you want to monetize that, you definitely then need to make sure you're staying on the copyright free. Are there any restrictions using your own bespoke AI created music and voiceover? This is another comment from Addie. There are. And I recently looked into it. So I know Suno, you can create music and you can put in your own lyrics, and it's such a nice thing. But when you read Suno's terms and conditions, they say if you're on the free version, you're not allowed to use it without crediting them or something. Like, you have to do something, and they can strike it as a copyright. But if you're a paying user, then I think you do have the ability to use it for free. The only thing though is that on YouTube, when you upload a video, you do have to declare if something is AI generated or not. I don't know if that counts for the music as well, but definitely for the visuals and like the crux of the video. So when you select that AI generated tick box, I don't know if that also impacts your video's performance, because as much as AI is great and we're all using it and it's really making everything efficient, I don't know how these social media platforms take it. I don't know if they view it as less or slightly inferior content, because you can churn out a lot of it very quickly. So maybe you can try it and let me know. I will test out one of the videos and make an AI video and see how it performs.
I want to ask you so many more questions about Pixabay and all these other things as well, but I see that we're out of time, which I hate. So I think just as a second last question, if someone wants to start their YouTube journey today, what is their first step?
Create an account on YouTube. Record an intro video where you're just introducing yourself and you're telling us what you're hoping to do. Create a thumbnail on Canva. It is absolutely free. And then upload it. So it doesn't have to be long. It can be a 3-minute video. You're just saying, hi, my name is Nokuhle. I've started this channel because I really want to document my journey of me transitioning into a full-time whatever creator or full-time business owner after leaving my corporate job. I'm really scared about 1 2 3, but I'm really excited about this. So people love vulnerability, but also use this as a way to track your own journey. When you watch this 3 years later, you're like, oh my gosh, I was so nervous about whether I'd have enough money to eat. Oh, that's so cute, look at me, I'm not skipping meals. So use it as a tool. Use it to document yourself, and if you do get monetized and people do love what you're doing, congratulations. And if they don't, that's also okay. We're not doing everything for people's views. Yeah, that's all I'd say.
I think that's good advice. Stay true to yourself, basically. I love that. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, Nokuhle. We see all the comments are saying thank you. It's very insightful. So thank you for taking the time. It's really appreciated from us and the community. And so, yeah, thank you for sharing your expertise. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, as well as everyone else who took the time to join us today. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next section. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
I'm so glad.
Bye, guys.
Happy to have you always.